Começando mais uma Wikimetal Happy Hour com convidados especialíssimos. Mais uma vez, estou falando com os meus queridos integrantes do Flotsam Jetsam. How are you, Ken and Eric? It's great to have you on the show. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Yeah, it's great to be chatting with you because you just released a fantastic album. Blood in the Water was released a few days ago. How has the repercussion been so far?
So far, it's been great. You know, we've gotten great response. I think we're #1 on the NACC radio charts in the U.S. and on the metal charts. So so far, we've had incredible response in Germany and Europe and in the U.S. It's honestly it's excellent.
Yeah, the
And
press
Eric,
has really been having a field day with it.
fantastic. Eric, you've been in the band for over 35 years. I mean, since the first album, it's been 35 years. How is it? What do you think of releasing an album in the middle of a bloody pandemic? Have you ever written lyrics about a crazy pandemic before, or is this something you predicted in Flotsam Jetsam lyrics?
You know, I didn't really even mean to write anything about it this time, but you can't help it. I mean, for a year and a half, we've been sitting around worrying about our loved ones and our friends and wondering what our career is going to be like. So, you know, regardless of what you start to write about, it's going to end up having a little flavor of fear and anger in it.
Was it difficult to? I suppose so. I mean, but how was it how challenging was it to record an album and like without being able to see? I don't know if you recorded previously or did you record it during the pandemic?
Yeah, we actually did it in the middle of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, in Arizona, we had some of the worst cases per capita of anywhere in the entire world. And so when we began the record, we were just sending ideas back and forth and then seeing which ones everybody liked and kind of finishing those off. But for instance, when AK and I were in the studio recording, you know, we have elderly parents we're trying to protect. And, you know, he would go into the tracking room and I'd come into the control room. And we would never see each other. We'd wave in the glass and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, and that was about it. So it was a weird experience in terms of how you would normally record versus, you know, in the middle of a pandemic for sure.
And is this the first time you guys work with Jacob Hansen, one of the producers of the album? The album was itself produced by you guys, but also had the help of a great and experienced guy called Jacob Hansen from Denmark. Was he in Phoenix when you guys recorded it? Did he come from? He's from Copenhagen, right, or somewhere in Denmark?
Yeah, he's not in Phoenix. No, he mixed the album and he did a fabulous job. He also mixed The End of Chaos, the last record, as well. And I think that he was an important part of the chemistry. You know, there's a lot of chemistry that went on within the band, and I think, you know, if you take any one band member out, it's a different record, and I think if you take Jacob Hansen out as well, it's a different record. I think he was an important part of the whole chemistry that made this record.
Yeah, Jacob was a good find for us. I mean, we have very few notes for that guy when he brings us back a mix. He's pretty much right in the same line of what we're thinking of to begin with, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also, like, the band has Ken recorded the first album with the band 2 years ago, and so I suppose this is apart from the new bass player Bill, this is a like established lineup. And how's it like to see the, you know, that it's very consistent lineup of Flotsam and Jetsam nowadays?
You know, it's really kind of trouble free for me anyway. I mean, there's no real drama going on. I mean, we all get along very well. We all kind of know what each other is thinking as far as writing the songs, and we kind of listen to each other a lot. You know, if I write something and these guys say, hey, that sounds, you know, immature or something, or, you know, it sounds like a nursery rhyme or something like that, you know, I listen to them and I change stuff. And we all kind of have the same outlook on writing the songs. We like to listen to each other. We're all professionals. We've all been doing it forever. And we like to fall back on each other's experience as far as writing songs.
And you guys are very experienced, including Ken. I mean, you both started your music career almost at the same time. And how did you find Ken? I mean, you guys all started. I mean, '86 was a key year for metal everywhere, and also for Flotsam and Jetsam. And Ken, where were you when they released their debut album, Ken?
Well, touring with Alice Cooper on the Constrictor tour, and then recorded Raise Your Fist and Yell after that, and then was on the Raise Your Fist and Yell tour. But yeah, we were all working in the same industry, obviously, and in the same area, and so I was very aware of Flotsam for sure, you know, and when you ask how I got into the band, I mean, really that was kind of a pretty natural process, really. I mean, you might not know this, but on the self-titled album from 2016, the drums were recorded at my studio. So, you know, I was there engineering, and Jason Bittner played drums. And, you know, that's the first time I heard Eric, you know, AK, you know, singing the new stuff. And it's the first time I heard the new songs. And I loved that album. I mean, I was listening to that album for months in my car, was a big fan of that record. And then so Steve called me. Steve Conley and I had worked on some projects. And he said, hey, you know, we're doing an 11 show tour in Europe. Do you want to hit some things really fast? And I said, you know, yeah, let's do it. And then next thing you know, it's 4 years later, and here I am.
And AK, there was a lot of luck involved in getting Ken in the band, because I mean, it's great to have such an experienced and fantastic drummer playing with you, right?
Ken's been begging us and stalking us for years. No, it was a great find. You know, honestly, I didn't know if he was going to fit, because I had heard some of the stuff he'd done before. You know, Alice Cooper's not really super heavy and fast like we are. You know, none of the stuff that he's done has been really on this level, but he makes it look easy. The guy he's like, oh, play timbales at 300 miles an hour, no problem. You know, everything he touches on the drums is ridiculous. So, you know, after the first couple tastes of his playing, there was no doubt that he was definitely the guy.
And I suppose a thrash metal band like you guys, if you don't have a very solid drummer, it doesn't get anywhere, right?
We've always had pretty solid drummers. Ken just makes them all look like they were practice for now.
and you guys,
well, I was going to say too, you know, not to sound like the Mutual Admiration Society here, but you know, when I heard what AK was doing, you know, back on that self-titled album, you know, I mean, it was, you know, I loved that album, and I was listening to it, you know, all the time. And, you know, I was just like, man, this guy's voice is just getting better, you know, and that's the weird thing. Like, I was a big fan of the first two Flotsam albums. And then, you know, I was a huge fan of, you know, it sounds funny, but, you know, my favorite albums are the first two and the last three. And I just think AK's voice keeps getting better and better. You know, my opinion is he's you know, if not the best metal singer, one of the best, certainly, no question about it.
And AK, I saw Geddy Lee saying once that he kind of regretted the high notes that he used to record in the first albums, because he couldn't keep up with the same singing after so many years. How do you deal with that? Because the singer suffers more from the voice, you know, like, because Flotsam and Jetsam has this peculiarity of being a thrash metal band, but with kind of aggressive vocals, different from most thrash metal bands?
You know, it gets a little more difficult to do the high stuff. I can't do it every night. Sometimes I just don't take care of myself good enough, and the next night I'm a little, a little shy on the high stuff. But really, if I'm in good shape, I can still do everything I've always done. And the big difference is, at the beginning of the career, I sounded like a 12-year-old girl, and now I'm a little more manly sounding, I think.
You guys are all still live in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Because I never been to Phoenix. How's the metal scene there? I suppose it's strong, because I mean there's some really great bands coming from Phoenix, right?
There's some really good talent here. Some of the bands here have songwriting trouble, but musicianship wise, we've got some amazing musicians in this town.
And I don't know if you bumped into Max Cavalera at some point. He still lives there, right?
Yeah, I bump into Max and Gloria once in a while.
And also Sacred Reich and some other great bands that come from Phoenix. What is so interesting about Phoenix that people still? I mean, it's not one of the most famous cities in the music. I mean, you think of LA or Nashville or New York or something. Is there a metal scene in Phoenix?
There is a heat scene. Right now is not the time for anybody to be from Phoenix, but the other 9 months out of the year that we're not having a ridiculous heat wave, it's really a beautiful place to live. And, you don't have to worry about muddling through snow to get to practice or anything like that ever. So, it's got its pluses. A lot of bands don't even rehearse at this time of year because they don't want to go outside.
And you guys like the heat? You don't get sick of the weather there? Because in Brazil it's too hot as well. And
sometimes you do. I mean, I like it myself for the most part. I mean, there's about, like AK said, there's about 3 months where it's a bit much. You'd rather probably live somewhere else, but like you said, you get 9 months of amazing weather. And so it's a trade-off, I mean, think if you lived in Chicago, you'd have 6 months a year where you're snowed in. So, you're going to have like 6 good months and then 6 horrible months. It's like, I'll take Phoenix over that anytime.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys played with, if I'm not mistaken, you played with Nervosa, this Brazilian band that the girls are doing really well. You played with them in Europe, didn't you?
Yeah, we played with them. Nervosa and Destruction on that tour, I think.
And
they're a good band. The thing I like about them is they're not relying on being girls. They don't wear little skimpy skirts and all that, and they're not showing their butt. They're just metal, and they're trying to be like all the other metal bands. They try to just be as angry and as fast and as tough as they can, and that's what I really like about them.
Are you guys familiar with any other Brazilian metal bands?
Is Bark considered a Brazilian band? I guess just because their main guitar player guy is he from Brazil? He's from Argentina, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe Sepultura, or I don't know if you played with other Brazilian bands. Fernanda, the ex-singer of Nervosa, has a new band called Crypta. They also just released a new album. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't even heard that yet, but I'm a big Fernanda fan, so I'm hoping they're good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's amazing. I mean, when you guys started, there weren't that many bands with girls at the time. Right now there are so many girls. That's a pretty cool thing.
It is, as long as they're not, trying to use their tight skirts as part of their thing. I like bands that are into the music and there for the love of what they do, and they're not just trying to gain fans because they got boobs.
Yeah, and the first album of the band, I mean, this is how we first heard of the band, was when you guys released Doomsday for the Deceiver with Jason on the bass. You guys still in touch with Jason?
Yeah, once in a while. You know, for a while there, he was coming into town once every couple years, and we go out to eat, have a couple drinks, maybe jam for an hour, talk about maybe doing something someday, and then we don't see him again for another 2 years. So it's kind of the same thing. It's been a few years since I've seen him, but we talk to him once in a while. Usually by email, he'll just say, "Hey, great new record" or something, and that'll be the end of it. But he's still the same Jason he was when he was in the band, just a lot more money.
And how's it like? Because it's crazy when you think that one of your bandmates joined, you know, biggest band in the planet. How is it like was it 86 that he joined Metallica? How is it like for you guys?
Yeah, it was a little scary at first, because he was the guy who did everything. He did all the business. He did all the writing. He did, you know, he got us signed basically. And it was a little scary. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we all just stepped up and have turned out a lot of really good albums since he left. So he really kind of helped us, you know. The guy that the band that the bass player from Metallica came from is what we've been known as forever, but it has gotten a lot of people to hear us.
You guys worked many years with Metal Blade, and now you signed with you released the album through AFM. How is it like to be working with AFM now?
Well, AFM's they've actually been a really good label. You know, they keep us in the loop of what they're doing and what they have planned, and they're really not a lot of trouble, which is one of the experiences I've had with other labels in the past. You got to pretty much grab people by the shirt and shake them around to get them to do anything. And AFM's pretty much on top of it. They're a really good label, and they've got a lot of good talent on their list.
And how would you sorry, go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I just said they're good guys. You know, I think they really do care, you know, about their bands, and they do try to do the best that they can do with their bands. And, you know, that says a lot, because, you know, there's a lot of labels you can get lost on, and you know, they're not necessarily, you know, you don't feel like your art is important there, but, you know, we feel like they're a very good home for us. And you know, from what I've seen with their other artists, they're a good home for a lot of artists too. So I think that's great.
And as I said before, you guys just released on the 4th of June. You guys just released the new album, the 14th studio album of the band, Blood in the Water. And how would you describe this album to someone that hasn't heard it yet?
I know how I describe it. You want to take it, AK, or you want to hear my description?
You go right ahead, Ken.
Well, what I always joke about it, I always say, you know, it's like putting 5 guys in 5 race cars, and they just are pressing the pedal all the way down on the gas the whole time they're driving. And, you know, I kind of look at it like, you know, the guitars are going nuts, the drums are going nuts, the bass is going nuts, the vocals are going crazy. There's all these backgrounds, there's all this stuff happening. And it's all this kind of chaotic stuff, and somehow it meshes together and is musical and makes sense, and it's enjoyable to listen to. And we can't really tell you how that happens, but it's just like 5 guys going nuts the whole time, and somehow it works.
Yeah, you know, I've got this weird view of a lot of albums from anybody, that, you know, you'll have some guitar riffs that are okay, and the drums come in and make it amazing. Or you've got some bass player that's, you know, okay, and the guitars come in and make it amazing. In this case, we've got amazing guitars and amazing bass lines and amazing drums, and you put them all together, and it's not one thing doctoring up something else. It's everything working in unison, and it really turned out nice for us.
And it sounds exactly the same as you describe it, Ken, because it doesn't sound dated, and it doesn't sound like a band just releasing any album, a new album just for the, you know, for releasing it. But it's like it's still fresh. That's what I want to. I mean, it's still like it feels like you guys still have the, you know, the will to kick everybody's ass.
Well,
we're still hungry.
You know, I asked AK, I said, how long do you think you could do this? And he said 10 years. So, you know, we're planning on being around for a while and kicking up as much dust as we can. But yeah, we're hungry. You know, like people go like, well, this is your 14th album. And, you know, like, what are you guys doing? Because this album is like, you know, it's a great album. Why do you guys care so much? And it's like, well, anytime we're going to put out anything, we're going to do our best to make sure that it's music that we love. And then hopefully we'll find a few million fans that agree with us.
Yeah.
And I suppose you guys are even hungrier now because you haven't played live for how long? For over a year and a half or something?
About a year and a half.
Yeah, I haven't been saying happy birthday in over a year, so I'm a little scared, actually.
And what are the plans for the future? Have you already planned tours, or how's the situation there in the U.S.? Is pretty going back to normal almost, right?
U.S., I think it's getting a little normalized, maybe faster than the rest of the world. I think it looks like we're going to be doing. We just announced tour dates in August, and we'll see if those get added to. And we're going to be going to Europe in 2022, provided everything goes smoothly. And but yeah, I mean, that's the plan. The plan is to get out there and play some music.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the time, and it's great to see you guys in such a fantastic shape. We hope to see you here in Brazil at some point. We have a lot of fans here, so hope this whole thing ends soon, and we'll be able to see you guys playing live. That's the real thing. Until then, blood in the water, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, AK and Ken on Wikimetal, on the Wikimetal Happy Hour. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and count on us to promote anything you guys are up to.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us on the show.
Thank you, bro.